Hello, everyone. This is your Frontier Africa Report. We're live to you from Accra, Ghana, the Accra International Conference Center, the venue of the 30th anniversary of the African Export-Import Bank and the 2023 annual meetings. It's been the first day, Sunday, the 18th of June. It's been a day of discussions around intra-Africa trade, trade financing, art, creative art, literature, discussing security, peace and security on the African continent, talking delegates, speaking to food security on the African continent, and finally to end the first day of the four-day conference called Corporate Perspectives to the entire intra-Africa trade. It's been the first day with some big names such as Aliko Dangote, Nigerian-born industrialist, speaking to the new petrochemical multi-billion-dollar business and the whole success story of cement sustainability in Nigeria and across the African continent, and why Afreximbank is important in terms of supporting trade finance on the African continent. We've heard from the head of the AFCFTA, Wamkele Mene, who is, of course, the head of the AFCFTA Secretariat, and talking about the partnership between the AFCFTA and Afreximbank. And he said earlier today, you cannot have finance without removing trade barriers. And if you remove trade barriers across Africa, you also need finance to lift trade. So he was talking about a symbiotic relationship that brought into existence the new AFCFTA, including the Pan-African payment system, which is also headquartered here in Ghana. So today we've heard, of course, from the managing director and CEO of the new Afrex Insurance. It was the new subsidiary of Afreximbank, which was launched early this morning to be a curtain raiser for this four-day event. The new subsidiary, according to the vice president of Afreximbank, which is Kanayo Awani, she spoke about why this is important. Of course, she said this will help Africa leverage or take a chunk of that $60 billion annual insurance premium that African companies and businesses pay to international insurance firms outside the continent. She said there's going to be a need for local knowledge that will be used to ensure that Africa get a fair share. Part of the problem, as far as this Afreximbank and the new insurance subsidiary is concerned, was that there's a lack of knowledge, according to the Afreximbank, from international insurance companies about how businesses and the environment work on the African continent, because they have limited knowledge about the nuances of business on the ground on the African continent. So Afrexim Insurance, through the new Afrex Insurance, will leverage local knowledge, will leverage local expertise to support Africa's businesses. There are a few sectors that the new Afrex Insurance will focus on: marine business, which is also about logistics. They talk about infrastructure in construction, as well as the energy sector. That's what Kanayo Awani told us earlier today. So you've got a whole lot of conversation today. Then you move on to talk about the industrialization of African continent, the need for sustainable food security on the continent, and removing more trade barriers. But for the first day of this summit, it's been very interesting. We will hear tomorrow from some of the biggest names. Of course, we're expecting top Ghana government officials to be here today. Of course, the first person to speak today was the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Addison, who spoke about the relationship about the FCFTA and how much the FCFTA has supported the Ghanaian government as well. Tomorrow we're going to hear more from the president and chairman of the Afreximbank, Professor Benedict Obrama. Today we heard from Nigeria, it's a former president. It's also one of the big pillars behind the bank and intra-Africa trade, Dr. Olusegun Obasanjo. Tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of other big top Africans and dignitaries speaking to this particular summit. So we expect the conversation to be a whole lot more extensive and expansive tomorrow, which is Monday, the 19th of October. We're here on the ground in Accra reporting these very important annual meetings. Of course, as I said earlier, it coincides with the 30th anniversary of Afreximbank. So it's a bit of a celebration on one part, a bit of look back for Afreximbank, the last 3 decades of this very unique and specialized African Union is trying to achieve in terms of facilitating trade, removing trade barriers, and providing the payment system and everything in between that will help Africa leapfrog and build its own economic future and renaissance. That is what this particular the Afreximbank Summit is all about here in Accra, Ghana. I am Bosin. I will be reporting over the next few days. We thank you for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow reporting live from the Africa Reports.